the UFC, I would say the Champions League of MMA, where the best fighters of the world come together. And we got the contract. Reinier de Ridder is signed. It's by now very well known. And to be honest, a lot of people were asking me, why didn't you tell me before? Are you not happy? Of course, I'm happy that we got into the UFC. And in the back of my mind and of Reinier's mind, we always know that was the place to be if you want to be the best of the world. And of course, in every organization, they have very good fighters all over the world. But the UFC is where the elite comes together, I would say. But UFC is not the reason that we do this. And I think that's for some people a little bit hard to grasp. We love this shit. I love this shit. Reinier love this shit. And the mission is still the same. It doesn't matter if it's in the UFC or in any other organization, still to beat the guys and be the best and keep improving. And that's something we would not forget, but also something people like, oh, it's the UFC, it's like dreams coming true. Yeah, mama, we made it, but it's not that. We don't do it to get into the UFC. We do it because we love it and we want to prove that we like what level we have, and we want to prove that we are the best and that Reinier is the best middleweight in the world. That's what it's about. It's not about getting into the UFC. And I have to say, of course, it's nice to enter like the Champions League of MMA, but the drive is different than just the UFC itself. So Reinier is, in my opinion, a very unique fighter. I think he's mostly well known for his ground skills, but the most important weapon, in my opinion, that he has is the mindset. Some people that are close to us, they know what kind of mindset he has, and I think that's what brought him so far in this game. And of course, that translates to his technical capabilities in MMA and Jiu-Jitsu and what he does best, fighting. But definitely comes from a place, and I believe it's his mindset. This is something he can take his credit only himself for. I think some people, you might not be born with it, but he is born with it, and he's also working on it. It's like he's training the mindset, etc. Besides, of course, the work we do on the mats. He's always looking to improve on all areas on fighting game. He's always the one that's like doing an extra round on the mat. He's always the one that's first ready before the timer goes off. He's beating the timer, I would say. I like to say it as a coach. And in my opinion, that's a very strong thing to have in this game, where a lot of people would be like a bit more laid back, skipping stuff. He's not the one he's like the complete opposite, I would say. We have to like say, hey, maybe relax a day or two after this week. Probably won't listen, but he's that type of fighter that just keeps going. You can tell him he's done well, but that's not enough. It's like, what can I improve? What do I need to do? Very coachable on the mats, listens very well, even like until to this day. And that shows his eagerness to learn, eagerness to improve, and really trying to be the best. He knows like how he needs to improve. He chooses the right people around him, listens to advice, and puts in the work. And that's for me the most important thing as well. It's a long story, but let's go back to the beginning. We first met on the mats. We basically both trained, both in love with the sport, both pretty dedicated, I would say, to MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, grappling, kickboxing. We spend a lot of hours every week together on the mat. And in 2017, we left the gym. We started our own gym, Combat Brothers. That's how Combat Brothers came into the world. And basically, I was never competing that much. I did some competitions. Reinier did a lot of competitions. He was starting his pro career, a couple of fights. He was doing very well. And at that time, I decided to not compete anymore. First focus on my own development, of course, in the martial arts world. We both did, but I tried to grow into the coaching role a little bit more. And I was still competing during that time. And so around 2020, I decided to fully commit to coaching. And basically at that time, that was when Reinier got the first title shot against Harun Özkan. But that was during the Corona period, so we had a little bit of layback of 1.5, 2 years. But that's how, basically in short, how the story went. I've decided to focus more on coaching. He was the athlete he has always been. But did pretty well in jiu-jitsu and in MMA. And we won titles at ONE FC. And that's how the story was going. The team is doing very well. Combat Brothers is, we have quite a lot of athletes, but it's finally the first one to get into the UFC is Reinier de Ridder himself. And I think he shows this way that, like, we know we have a strong team, we have very good athletes, and now we prove that we can go to the highest levels from a small country as the Netherlands. We are not the first Dutch fighter, but there's not a lot. And from just a small town, Breda, we made it all the way to the big leagues. And we are very proud that the team is growing, developing. We have fighters from all over the world and now also in the biggest organization of the world. And I think Reinier is setting an example of what can be done if you keep grinding. Shout out to the daily grind. If you have the right people around you, the right mindset, and you are able to put in the work as the fighter itself, because that's in the end what it's all about.